Hello everyone. So today we're going to start with political theory, which is a textbook for class 11. In this book, we have 10 chapters listed in front of you. We'll be beginning with chapter 1, which is a political theory and introduction. Okay, we'll one by one we'll be finishing all the chapters. And first, it's very important that we look at once again, we remind ourselves of the Constitution of India. Let's look at the preamble. We, the people of India, have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote amongst them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of all the individuals and the unity and integrity of India. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give ourselves this Constitution. So that's how we had our Constitution. Okay. 42nd Amendment. Okay, so this was here it's saying like 1 and 2 which are pointed here. It's saying that this was amended in the 42nd Amendment of 1946, sorry, 1976. And second amendment which was done in here, it was done um in the 42nd Amendment, same 1976. Both were effective from 1977. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, political theory and introduction. Another book to memorize. If only we could talk about things we that concern us. Wait and see. This class will be different. Let us turn to page 8 and read the box on Socrates. So you're saying that it's just not memorizing it. It's gonna be different. Okay, I don't know, but I like the way he reveals the inconsistencies in the views expressed by others. This is really different. Who is Socrates? So let's study and get into the details of this chapter. Okay, I hope it's visible. Let me just okay. Uh, yeah. So I hope it's clear on the screen. That's it. Okay. Human beings are unique in two respects. They possess a reason and the ability to reflect on their actions. They also have the capacity to use language and communicate with each other. Unlike other species, they can express their innermost thoughts and desires. They can share their ideas and discuss what they consider to be good and desirable. Political theory has its roots in the twin aspects of human self. It analyzes certain questions such as how should society be organized? Why do we need government? What is the best form of government? Does law limit our freedom? What does the state owe its citizens? What do each other we owe each other as citizens, like what I owe to you and what you owe to me, what government owes to me as a citizen. So political theory examines questions of this kind and systematically thinks about the values that inform political life, values such as freedom. So these this is important that it questions the internal this thing whole examines and questions and things about values that inform political life. Values such as freedom we are talking here, equality we are talking about, and justice. It explains the meaning and significance of these and other related concepts. It clarifies the existing definitions of these concepts by focusing on some major political thinkers of the past and present. It also examines the extent to which freedom or equality are actually present in the institutions that we participate in everyday life, such as schools, shops, buses, or trains, or government offices. At an advanced state, it looks at whether existing definitions are adequate, and how existing institutions, whether we talk about government, we talk about bureaucracy and policy practices, must be modified to become more democratic. All through the book of class 10, in all those chapters we've been talking about the different aspects of democracy and how we can make things to better it, to, for example, to make it more democratic, to expand the scope of democracy and so on. The objective of political theory is to train citizens to think rationally, logically about political questions and assess the political events of our time. In this chapter we will examine what is meant by politics and political theory and why we should study it. So we are going to see that what is politics and what do we mean by political theory. And then we even question that, chalo, if we know that, then why should we study it? Okay, let's start. Okay, what is politics? You would have noticed that people have different ideas about what politics is. Political leaders, persons who contest elections and hold public office, may argue that it is a kind of public service. They might say that we are working for the people. Some others associate politics with manipulation and intrigue undertaken to pursue ambition and satisfy wants. And some might take it as, no, it's just a manipulation, and they just want to pursue or satisfy their own ambitions. We're talking about the politicians and everything. A few think that few think of politics as what politicians do. If they see politicians defecting from parties, making false promises and tall claims, manipulating certain different sections, pursuing personal or group interests ruthlessly, and even worse case, stooping to crime. They link politics with scams. So we have very different versions of what we think is politics. So prevalent is this view of thinking that when we see people in different walks of life trying to promote their interest by any means possible, we say they are planning politics. So we even say that, if you're trying to promote your own interest, and you're going to do anything to do it, then you're saying, we even end up saying that you are doing politics. If we see a cricketer manipulating to stay in the team, or fellow students trying to use his father's position, or a colleague in office mindlessly agreeing with the boss, we say that he or she is playing dirty politics. Delusioned by such pursuits of selfishness, we despair of politics. We say, I'm not interested in politics, or I am not going to stay away from politics, or I am going to stay away from politics. It's not only ordinary people who despair of politics, even businessmen and entrepreneurs routinely blame politics for their woes, even as they benefit from and fund various political parties. Stars also complain of politics, even though they seem to adapt at the game once they join it. We are thus confronted with conflicting images of politics. So now we have very different images. Once we are saying that, at one point we are saying that it's a kind of public service, where second we are saying it's all about scams, and we are saying it's all manipulation. We are saying they will go anyway to promote their own interest, and they are saying it's all about selfishness, or they are saying that um the different what they see. Okay, uh, is politics an undesirable activity that we should stay away from and get rid of, or is it a worthwhile activity which we should must engage with in order to make a better world? So he's saying that, is politics undesirable, or we should engage to make it a better world? What should we do? It is unfortunate that politics has come to be associated with the pursuit of self-interest. So it's very disheartening that today politics is seen as something for self-interest, self-motivated by any and every method. We need to realize that politics is an important and most integral part in any society. Okay. So there's this line which is written by, Mahatma Gandhi, where he says that, observed that politics envelops us like the coils of a snake, and there is no other way out but to wrestle it out. So just like if you are this person and this is this snake, coil matlab lapetna, okay? So the only way how to get rid of it is to, the only way, not rid, okay? The only way to come out of this lapetna is that you have to make your way out, but only the only way, you cannot just simply come out the snake, leave me, okay? You have to fight with it, right? You have to wrestle it, you have to untangle everything, the coil, everything, so that you're free. So that's what Mr. Gandhi talks about. He, according to, how we observed politics, as no society can exist without some form of political organization and collective decision making. So he's talking about form of political organization or decision making, and also decision making. A society that wants to sustain itself needs to take into account the multiple needs and interest of its members. A number of social institutions such as family, tribes, economic institutions have emerged to help people fulfill their needs and aspirations. Such institutes help us find ways of living together. Acknowledging our obligations to each other, among such institutions, government plays an important part. Okay, so this line is actually very important. You can give it a star. So this is a cartoon. Let's see what it says. You must retire from politics at once. Your activities are having a bad influence on him. He thinks he can get away with lying and cheating. So that's what he's saying. That I think this person is a politician, and he has a kid. So he's saying that his mother, that is this person's wife, is saying that you are influencing the child in the wrong way, and you should quit because he's learning habits like lying and cheating from you. So is it really like that, that he's learning being influenced by his father who's a politician? Do you think that? Give your opinion, okay? How, so here we were talking that all these, groupings, on the basis of family, tribes, and educational economic institutes, okay, talks about that needs, different multiple needs and interests that has to of its members have to be taken into account. One such institution is the government, and it plays a very important part, okay? How governments are formed and how they function is thus a very important part, form of, focus of politics, okay? So let's see. But politics is not confined to the affairs of government. It's not that only politics is related to government and everything, okay? In fact, what government do is relevant because it affects the lives of the people in many different ways. It affects your life, it affects my and everybody else around us. We see people in many different ways. We see that governments determine our economic policies. They talk about our economic policies, our foreign policies, and educational policies, everything, how we, get access to infrastructure, how we live in a society, how our education facilities are available to us. Everything is decided by the government. These policies can help to improve the lives of people, but an inefficient or corrupt government can also endanger the people's life and security. So that's why the role of government is so important. If the government in power allows any conflict to become violent, markets close down and schools are shut. These disruptive life, we cannot buy things that we may need urgently. Those who are sick cannot reach to hospitals. Even the schools, schedule gets affected. Syllabi cannot be completed, and we may have to take extra coaching for the exams and pay tuition fees. If, on the other hand, the government makes policies to increase literacy and employment, we may get an opportunity to go to a good school and get a decent job. So here we come to know about, the important role of government that it plays in our entire lives, in different aspects of our life. Since the actions of governments affect us deeply, in all respects of our life, we take lively interest in what government, do. We form associations and organize campaigns to articulate our demand. We might, form associations, in the example like trade associations, people working in the same, area coming together, organize campaigns. Example, we saw the mass movements in Bolivia and Nepal in the previous books, uh, to keep our demand in front of the government, because it is the government who is going to, this thing, make our interest and demands get to us. We negotiate with others and try to shape the goal of the government pursue. When we disagree with the policies of the government, we protest and organize demonstrations to persuade the government to change the existing laws. And when we don't like, we say that you should change the law, we don't like it, and we passionately debate the actions of our representatives and discuss whether corruption has increased or decreased. We ask whether corruptions can be rooted out, whether reservations for specific groups are just or not, whether reservations, giving keeping aside some seats for people, people belonging to different this thing criteria, is it just or not, is it fair on the part of other people or not. We try to understand why some parties and leaders win election, and what makes a party win an election, what makes people vote on them. In this way, we look for the rational underlying the prevalent chaos and decay, and aspire to create a better world. What is the only thing of that, what is our only aim to come in this world, is to make it a better place and nothing. All the other duties we are that we have are there, but a main aim is to make this world a better place to live in for the next generation that will come. To sum up, politics arise from the fact that we have different visions of what is just and desirable for us and our society. Yes, we agree that, if you're talking about in conclusion, we all have different visions, and we've already discussed that every person is unique, we have different viewpoints, different style of thinking, and so okay. And we want a very different, what you think of your society to be and what I think of the society, they might be very different, our views might be very different. So how does politics influence our everyday life, our daily life? Analyze the day's events. Just imagine how your day, for example, you going to educate, you are studying in a school. If you're still studying online, that means the local government in your area, they haven't opened the schools. Okay, and if you're getting a free vaccination, that is through the central union government, which are providing the free vaccine to you. Otherwise, these vaccines would have cost like 600, 700 or so per jab. Okay, so that's the role we are talking about, the government and how it affects our everyday life. Read the newspaper. What are the issues dominating the headlines? Do you think that you have any relevance? Do these have any relevance for you? So, for example, in today's newspaper, today is September 26th, 2021. The headline is about the So in today's newspaper, it was Mr. Modi who's gone to United States of America for the United Nations General Assembly, and there he's talking about the different things which are affecting the world. He's talking about COVID-19 victims. He's spoken about how terrorism is influencing how worlds needs to cooperate and collaborate, and different aspects. Okay, so, whatever the things are read out in the General Assembly, not only from us also, and but from other counter countries also, So, what will happen, that whatever the decision is made by the General Assembly. So, General Assembly is like a parliament, okay? Like we have a parliament in our country. Every country has a parliament. Similarly, General Assembly, United Nations General Assembly is a parliament of the world. World as in India. No, sorry, world as in like. Earth. Earth, because all the countries which live in on this planet Earth, they are part of, mostly of them are part, I think 192 or 193 countries are part of General Assemblies at present, okay. So that's whatever the policies will be made, or whatever they'll decide at the international forum, that will be decided at the country level also. You'll have to implement it. So whatever is decisions are making on the peace and security, that will affect us also, because this, who is this, for whom is this a peace that they're talking about? They're talking about this peace for you and for me, so that we live happily, so all the other people live happily. So it's going to affect us, right? So that's what we are saying, that politics, if we summarize, and politics arise from the fact that we have different visions of what is just and desirable for us and our society. It involves the multiple negotiations that go on in our society. So we're talking the points which I'm underlining again. Please note that these are keywords, okay? Negotiation, politics, we talk about mass movements, we talk about associations that go in a society, through which collective decisions are being made, decisions which have to be collective and not only for the interest of one or few people. At one level, it involves what governments do and how they relate to the aspirations of the people. At another level, it involves how people struggle and influence, they struggle and influence the decision making. So these are very important, that how we do it, and then how, in what do the government hear of us or not. People may be said to engage in political activity whenever they negotiate with each other and take part in collective activity. So this collective is very word is very important when we talk about collective decision making, collective activities which are designed to promote social development and help resolve common problems. Okay. Should students part in politics? Do you think that students should also participate in politics? See, politics, when we talk about politics, not politics, don't think as that high level of politics. Even politics can even happen at a small level, okay? It's not necessary that it has to be at such a very large at the national level. It can be even happen at a lower level also. We talk about this thing, college level, school level, that that sometimes so many things happen. For example, in the school, just imagine the senior students, they sometimes have tend to do it. For example, whoever, usually you'll notice the prefects and everything, who are the position holders in schools, or they hold the batch, especially class 11 and 12. So they get like they make sports captain, they make a head girl, head boy, and so on, and all the other batches that are there. So sometimes you must have noticed, when you'll go to, again, maybe go to school or remember your days. Okay, so you might have seen all those small politics and everything, right? So why do we study politics in what do we study in political theory? So what is there that we study in political theory? Let's come to that. Okay. So let's see that what do we study in political theory. If you just look around yourself, then you would see that movement, many movements, developments, and change is occurring every day. Whether you talk about the uh, any kind of movement, and just pick up a newspaper and see how many things are there happening, you know how many new things are taking place. But if we look at deeper, we would also see certain values and principles that have inspired people and guided policies. Ideals like democracy, freedom, equality, for instance. Different countries may try to protect such values by enshrining them in their constitution, and as is the case with America and Indian constitution. So these are the values that we're talking about: democracy, freedom, equality, and how we enshrine them, like how we put it in our constitution and live by it. These documents did not just emerge overnight. We've seen that how many days, for India's this thing constitution to come up. Do you know how many days it took? We studied in one of our books. Just go and check. And our constitution was not built overnight, it was drafted over 3 years, and finally came the Constitution of India. Okay, so they are built upon the ideas and principles debated almost since the time of Cordelia, Aristotle to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Karl Marx, Mahatma Gandhi, and B.R. Ambedkar. So these principles and ideas, these are not like they just come up today. They've been there since the time of Kautilya to the time of B.R. Ambedkar. As far as the 5th century BC, Plato and Aristotle discussed with their students whether monarchy or democracy was better. So this discussion where there we are talking about that which form of government is better. Do we need democracy, or should we need dictatorship is better? This debate has been going on from the time of even Plato and Aristotle, who were discussing it with their students. In modern time, Rousseau first argued for freedom as a fundamental right for humankind. Karl Marx argued that equality was as crucial as freedom. Closer home, Mahatma Gandhi discussed the meaning of genuine freedom or Swaraj in his book Hind Swaraj. Okay, so this line is very important. You can always give it a star and use it wherever you need. In his book Hind Swaraj, B.R. Ambedkar vigorously argued that the scheduled caste must be considered minority. So different values and principles we are seeing, and these are not built overnight. We've seen it from the time of Plato and Aristotle. Okay, if you get a time, please, you should read out books which have been written by these people. Try to take out some time and study. It will be useful because it will broaden your mind, and other it will give you a better exploration ways. Okay, so if time, go through these books and study. And as such must receive special protection, and they should even receive special protection. This is, we are talking about the minority. These ideas find their place in the Indian constitution by in the Indian constitution. A preamble enshrines the freedom and equality. The chapter on rights in the Indian constitution abolishes untouchability in any form. Gandhian principles find a place in the directive principle. So we've already studied before starting this book. We studied our constitution and a constitution. So we studied about the preamble of our constitution, and we can clearly see that we're talking about justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. We're talking about sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So these are the values we actually give so much importance, that these are there in our constitution. Okay, so now what you do is that write a short note on any of the political thinkers mentioned in the chapter in 50 words. So these are all the political thinkers. Even the write, Google, and then write a 50 words this thing paragraph on there. Okay, so this is also very important, that how our constitution has abolished untouchability of any kind. you know when we talk about right to quality and everything, we see the Gandhian principles also. When we study the directive principle, we'll study in that. Okay, I hope it's clear till now. If you have any doubt, please comment down. Okay, political theory deals with the ideas and principles that shape constitution, governments, and social life in a systematic manner. So a political theory is actually the ideals and principles that we give so much importance, that it is there in our constitutions, it is there in the government, and even affect us in our social life every day in a systematic manner. Of course, clarifies the meaning of concepts such as freedom, equality, justice, democracy, secularism. You'll see all these keywords in our preamble also, and so on. It probes the significance of principles such as rule of law, separation of power, judicial review. We've talked a little bit about this also. This is for the courts, etc. This is done by examining the arguments advanced by different thinkers in defense of these concepts. Though Roswa and or Marx or Gandhi did not become politicians, their idea influenced generations of politicians everywhere. So they might not be politicians. For example, Gandhi, when our a country became independent, he was not part of the interim government, nor he was part of the first government that came into existence. But their ideas actually have influenced so many politicians. There are also contemporary thinkers who draw upon them to defend freedom or democracy in our own time. Besides examining arguments, political theorists also reflect upon our current political experiences and point out trends and possibilities for the future. So they also point out trends and possibilities which can be there for the future, which can be better. So let's do this exercise. Okay, can you identify the political principle values which is in the application of the following? So let's do this. Okay, I should be able to decide which subjects I want to study. So this we are talking about the freedom. Okay, what do you want? For example, right now you're in class 11th. Okay, for example, if you are, since this book is for class 11, then you got the freedom, you got the choice to make a choice that whether you want to choose science stream, humanities stream, or arts stream. So you have the choice, and this is your freedom. You shouldn't be forced by somebody, if you're your parents, relatives, to choose some other stream or subjects which you don't like. And if you're studying this, and if you wanted to study this political theory book and wanted to take up humanities, and if you have chosen this humanities as a choice, congratulations, you just used your freedom. The practice of untouchability has been abolished because all the people are equal in equal, as in like nobody's above or below. All Indians are equal before law, because we talk, this is about justice. Minorities can have their own schools and colleges. This we are talking about, you remember, right to cultural and educational right. Okay, I'll just write culture. We did this thing now, where we talked about the, for example, you remember we studied about the Aligarh Muslim University um, educational right, where we studied about the this example of Aligarh Muslim University, where they, I think there was a seat where it was reserved for few people. So there was this case, I hope you remember. This is CUL, this is cultural and educational right. This is the, I think, fifth fundamental right, one of the like out of the six fundamental rights, this comes in fifth. Or you all are equal, but yeah, in just order that I'm telling you. Foreigners who are visiting India cannot vote in Indian election, because they are not citizens, or they don't hold the citizenship of India. If they have the citizenship of India, they can vote. Some countries allow that, they can have two citizenships, but in India, if you are in India, you'll have only one citizenship. There should be no censorship of media and film. This is again freedom of speech and expression. I'll just write it here. Okay, you understood, na? Freedom of speech and expression. Okay, and then students should be consulted while planning the annual day function. This is democracy.